Right, Jason, we've heard George Osborne's announcement, so it appears like a lot of bad news. Unemployment increasing, government borrowing going to be higher than anticipated, growth lower than anticipated, and recession a distinct possibility, it seems.
Yes, Andrew. I mean, George has said that although he doesn't expect the UK to go into recession, he's saying that if our neighbours and the other economies go into recession, there's a very good chance that we will as well. So that means that we'll be dragged into recession. But he is sort of saying that he's sticking to his original deficit plan and trying to keep the interest rates low within the UK. But I don't think there's any miracle cure to this.
And I suppose actually in times of austerity we should expect all of us to be sort of suffering with that jointly. Who do you think will be the real losers in the various announcements he's made today?
Well, I think first of all, public sector employees are not going to be very pleased at all. They're seeing a 1% increase for 2 years, and that's after a pay freeze. So that's not going to go down very well with them at all. And other losers are going to include people who are receiving child tax credit, by way of example. Again, there's some changes there that are not going to be very welcome.
And banks seem to be a constant whipping boy these days, but the increase in the bank levy is going to be 10%, so how that's going to affect the wider economy, we don't yet know.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's a question, I think, for the future. I think employees who are likely to be at risk of redundancy are not going to be very pleased with today's announcements. It could lead to them feeling very insecure indeed, and certainly those who are aged in their early 50s, where there's been the further announcement to increase the age at which you qualify for your state pension up to 67 from 2026, is not going to be very welcome.
Sounds like you're a loser and I'm a winner then, Jason. Well, then there's local enterprise zones as well, aren't there, effectively, with Great Yarmouth and Lowestoft notably excluded from the list of those to receive special support?
Yes, those in the north had some special measures, and locally we didn't know, that's right.
And who we see the winners are, I suppose the first of those who occupy social housing?
Yeah, a 50% discount if you're occupying social housing has got to be great. And the government have announced that they're going to build one house for every house they sell. So new home buyers, new home builders I should say, in the construction industry are going to be quite pleased with today's announcements, particularly with the further announcements with regard to investment into the infrastructure nationwide.
Indeed, yes. There's going to be the much vaunted and pre-announced improvement to the Kettering bypass and other anticipated improvements to the A14.
Yes, absolutely, although we don't really quite know how they're going to be funding, so they are talking about a road toll, which may mean there's a contribution to the funding, so it may be good news and bad news in that respect, I think.
And small businesses are going to be winners as well, it seems.
That's right. I mean, the cost of their borrowing may be going down by 1% that's been announced today due to the announcements to assist the funding of small businesses, and also deregulation for them as well, and the changes to the instant dismissal process and so on and so forth, the health and safety rules may be very good for them and save them some money. And small businesses for this purposes are those that have less than 10 employees.
Indeed. Youth unemployment's a problem, obviously, that's been increasing over the years. There's this new youth contract that should hopefully assist in some way.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they're certainly trying to reduce youth unemployment, and that will certainly help. There's some other announcements as well, which is the Business Angel Seed Investment Scheme, which gives anybody a 50% tax break for up to £100,000 investment in a particular company, which is a really great tax break, and that tax break is regardless of the rate of tax they're actually paying. So even for a 20% tax rate payer, that's a really good measure of relief. They're also talking about CGT exemption on investments in those type of businesses. That's all good news.
You know, George Osborne has obviously had to sugar the pill being some rather bad macroeconomic news, and therefore our list of winners is actually perhaps surprisingly long. So we have to say, where's it all going to come from? And we're looking at a 2.7% increase in income tax, a 3.7% increase in national insurance contributions. That has to mean tax increases in April 2012, I would have thought.
Yes, absolutely, and when you link that into unemployment increasing as well, it just means there's got to be some tax increases around the corner, and those are direct tax increases, so I think we all sit here with bated breath to see where they're going to be coming from, really.
And the coalition government, of course, the big plan that they had was that they'd be basking in the rosy glow of economic recovery come the next election. It now appears from what George Osborne is telling us that it will be nothing but squalls and strong winds.
Absolutely, to match today's weather, I think.